Hello, and welcome to Spirit Among Us. Perhaps one of the most interesting things about Jesus coming down to this earth is the way in which he came. He did not come in fiery glory, riding the clouds down from heaven, soaring down here, and appearing before all of mankind. He did not come down in that way. Though he is glorious, though he is full of glory, he did not choose to come down that way. He attracted no attention and instead was born in humility. Luke chapter 2 verse 7. And she gave birth to her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no place for them in the inn. When Mary gave birth to Jesus, they had no place to stay. There was no place for them. There was no room in the inn. There was no room in any of the houses in the whole town of Bethlehem. No room for them. And so they had to be in a manger. They had to stay with the animals that night, which is probably a pretty filthy environment. I can tell you, I probably would not want to be sleeping in any sort of stable or manger. I would not want to be sleeping with the animals. I like sleeping in my bed. But Jesus chose this. Jesus was born into this. He wasn't born into royalty. He wasn't born into the king's palace, but he was born into the lives of some poor country people. His birth was in complete humility. It was nothing that we would look at and think, oh wow, that's worthy of awe. But that's the thing. It still is worthy of awe. To really understand how spectacular and profound this is, that Jesus was born in such humility, we need to remind ourselves who he is. Colossians chapter 1 verses 15 through 17. The Son is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For in him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities, all things have been created through him and for him. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. Do we realize who this was that was born in a manger, that was born in that stable? The image of the invisible God. In him all things were created. All things were created through him and for him, and in him all things hold together. This is God himself. This is God himself, the Holy One, the Perfect One, the one worthy of all glory, coming down and being born in a manger. Being born in complete humility. In humility Christ was born, not in glory, even though he is completely worthy of all glory. And so in seeing the humility of Jesus Christ, I think that's where we need to look at our own hearts and our own pride. Jesus Christ was born into humility. He was born in humbleness. And think about this for a second. The highest of highs was born into the lowest of lows. And he lived that way throughout his life. He lived in humility, constantly choosing to make himself the servant of all. So if he was willing to humble himself to that extent for us, if the King of Kings, the one worthy of all glory and honor and praise, was willing to humble himself that much, then we should be able to humble ourselves. So in this Christmas season, let's thank God for being willing to humble himself to such an extent for us. Thank Jesus for choosing that birth, that humble birth in that manger. And let us take after him. Let us follow after that humility and truly share the image of Christ. Thank you for watching, and God bless.